You alluded to ChatGPT and the fact that it was kind of spitting out wokeness, and there was a lot of tests on it, and it was being trained on the internet, and the internet is being censored by typically Silicon Valley companies who have their own view of the world that they export to the world. Tell me about big tech. Tell me about fundamentalist wokeism. Like, what are we dealing with today? Because it's an important issue to talk about. You're probably one of the few people that will talk about it. Everyone's experiencing this right now. It's a topic du jour, even in England right now, because we have a very famous speaker, comedian, Russell Brand, who's being demonetized from YouTube. Members of government are reaching out, basically asking platforms to close him down, demonetize him, based on headlines and accusations, and
without ever proof.
Proof,
no court of law, no fair,
which is maybe just an example of what could be in the future. What do you see? This has been happening for years.
Well, if you ask me about things that terrify me, that is something that terrifies me, because you take the area where I know best from my life's experience, which is academia and science, which should be immune from this, and isn't. The biggest anathema to science is not being able to ask questions, is not being able to ask any question and say anything, no matter how offensive, if it leads to discussion. And what you see in the United States now is that that's just been turned off. In academia, people are afraid to ask questions. And when that happens, progress ends, as far as I'm concerned. And so I really see that as a threat. Now, it's a threat in some sense, but it's only a partial threat, because if it happens in the West, well, in China, they won't be afraid to ask those, they'll just try and get the best people to do the best science that they can. And China has its own issues. Let me not pretend it doesn't. But so yeah, you talked about, I don't know whether I coined it, but I talked about fundamentalist wokeism, because, woke is well-intentioned. It's, trying to say, well, what are the social consequences of things? So I don't want to make it seem as that's a bad term, but it's like Islam in principle is no worse than any of the other religions, but fundamentalist Islam is really bad. But so, and fundamentalism of any sort is. And fundamentalist wokeism is basically saying certain ideas cannot be discussed. Certain things cannot be stated. Certain things must be presumed to be true without evidence. And that's what you're seeing. So some people say, well, you can't ask the question. You can't say, what really there are two, you can't say there are two sexes, or what is a woman? And you're not allowed to. It's somehow dangerous to say that. Well, nothing should be dangerous. Nothing should be sacred. Nothing. And that's my concern when we have a society where groups, and particularly groups that can control discussions, whether they're academic groups or Silicon Valley, say you can't even raise this question because it's so dangerous to say it. Well, it does remind you of 1984 a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah. And I think that that's a bigger threat to progress in the West than almost anything else. And I write a lot about it because it really scares me. And I see many, if not most academics that I know are afraid to say things. They won't teach certain things for fear of the consequences. Well, when that happens, what's university all about? University is not supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be the opposite of safe. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not learning. And yet now it's you just see it, and I'm a step away from it, and I can talk about it, and I do, and I think many of my colleagues don't, because for the very simple reason they're afraid of the consequences, and I've always been not afraid to speak out things in spite of the consequences, but now I'm more removed from it, so it's easier as well.
It's dangerous because what you see on all sorts of platforms, academia, even a place like YouTube, is what happens is people self-censor. Because they know if they say something, they'll be demonetized, maybe they'll be thrown out of the university. And so sometimes, even without being conscious about it, they'll stop talking about things. And then they self-censor, and then you don't even realize you're doing it sometimes.
Oh yeah, and we all self-censor to some extent.
Yes,
and it's
true.
part of living in a society.
True.
We're born free, but we live forever in chains, but and that's okay. In certain circumstances, it makes sense. But But when you're talking about a classroom in some sense, well, again, the idea is not to overtly try and hurt people. But if you offend someone, that's their fault. That's their problem. If you don't intend to, they own that problem, and then they can decide how to respond to it. But you can't. If you're speaking about important things, you're going to offend some people. That's just life. Yeah. But being certain of things is really the problem. And I mean, I don't want to bring things back to the book, but I will say that's why I said I don't know are the most important words in science, but they're the most important words in learning, because it's an invitation to discover. If you know things before you even ask the questions, that's religion.
Yeah. It's true. This all goes right to the book.
Yeah.
Because you have to be willing to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that means it opens your brain up. Okay, let's talk, let's learn.
Yeah.
That's the way you should wake up every day.
And parents should say it, and teachers should not be afraid to say it. Too many parents, when their kids ask them questions, are afraid to say, I don't know. Teachers too. But yeah, let's say, I don't know. Let's discover, even if it means turning to the internet. I don't know the answer. Let's discover this together. Because education should be a voyage of discovery. And it should be exciting. It should not be regurgitating. I was in a movie once, and it was a documentary about going into space, about the farthest, about the Voyager spacecraft. And I was at some event talking about it. And this isn't profound, but it was amazing to me that I'd never thought of it before, that each time a kid learned something, for them it's the first time in the history of the world it's been understood, right? So everything should be that kind of a joy of discovery. It shouldn't be, people knew this before. It's, hey, I figured this out. And that's what education should be all about.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I'm just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
It's also been like a big learning experience for me. not just in the crypto space, but just in overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you got to pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.